Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the season finale of Watching America Implode.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel. I'm not.
That right there is the moron-in-chief of the United States of America, Donald Trump. And sitting next to him is President Zelensky of Ukraine. So Donald Trump had this brilliant idea of having a Zelensky bullying session with his Looney Tune band of brainless buffoons in front of the press.
You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred. And I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either.
Trump cannot seem to understand why Zelensky would hate Putin for invading his country and killing his people. Completely baffled.
You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes.
That's Donald Trump's best impression of trying to sound like a reasonable 8-year-old kid.
Engaging in diplomacy, that's what President Trump is doing.
Speaking of 8-year-old kids, that is J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, telling Zelensky that diplomacy is the solution. Which sounds like a reasonable thing to say, except that it was the United States that told Ukraine not to accept a ceasefire years ago and told them to keep fighting.
What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about?
That is Zelensky's way of reminding JD, by calling him JD, that he's talking to the president of a different country.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you...
And I think JD got it. He is visibly angry. He's like, it's the destruction of your country, you fool.
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media.
There are very few people who can say with due respect and disrespectful in the same sentence. J.D. Vance is one of them. But what is more interesting is that he's pretending that this whole drama in front of the press was Zelensky's idea. Here's the thing. Trump and Vance, they decided that they would do this in front of the press and they thought they would just bully him and he would just keep his mouth shut. But he was fighting back and they didn't expect that. And the only reply they have is, you should be a little more respectful.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
Zelensky firing back with, what do you know about Ukraine? Have you been to Ukraine? Shut the fuck up.
I have been to...
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and
I watched videos.
Questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in...
Okay, this is exactly where it all started going downhill. I mean, it was already downhill, but this is where it fell off the cliff.
Telling you,
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
Firstly, Donald Trump touched Zelensky's arm and says, don't tell me how I'm going to feel. Nobody talks about feelings with Donald Trump. What are you, crazy?
We're going to feel very
You will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel
We're going to feel good and strong.
influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and
of
he
the
happens
war.
to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the
it.
cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
Right now, you don't.
Now Trump is getting into proper bullying mode. He's using a gambling term, which is like, you don't have the cards right now. And Zelensky is like, we are not playing cards, motherfucker.
You're playing
Serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think
You're
you-
gambling with World War III.
what do you
You're
think about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III.
Trump doubling down on the gambling analogy and invoking the possibility of a third world war.
And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back.
And there comes the American arrogance. We need respect. You are being disrespectful.
You.
Respect to your
Far
parents.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No.
And when they have no proper arguments, they're like, have you said thank you once?
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
Zelensky bounces back with a zinger about Americans being loud.
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country.
Yeah, not loud at all. That's just American.
In big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No.
Can
You've
I
done a
answer?
lot of talking. You
Again, the American arrogance of being able to tell the president of a different country, you've done enough talking. I wonder if Trump would be able to say that to Putin.
country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of
we are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president three.
And now Trump is going after Biden and Obama, the previous presidents, stupid presidents he calls them.
$350 billion.
You
we
voted
gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about West?
If you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited
Zelensky trying to tell Trump that America is a democracy and they voted for Biden. And Donald Trump, getting very handsy again, touched him on the arm. Almost pushed him. Go back and look at it. Thank God for the cameras, because I think that would have been a punch.
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
in 3
okay?
days. I heard it from Putin. In 3 days.
And this is where Zelensky gave up. He's like, fuck this shit.
It'd be a very hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
I
Accept-
said a
Donald Trump forgetting that he's the president of the United States and talking about it as if it's a business deal. Because for him, it is. And JD jumping in one more time with the thanks bit. Say thanks.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's
I
very
understand.
important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You got to be more thankful.
What is it with these Americans? Why do you need to have thanks for everything? It's not Thanksgiving.
What if a bomb drops on your head right now?
Well, interesting times. I don't have the time to go through every little bit in that video, but go watch that video for yourself.